Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. I'm your host, Duncan Alney. And on this show, we speak to leading entrepreneurs and founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And this episode is brought to you by Firebelly, which I co-founded. At Firebelly, we make brands more likable and profitable through social media marketing. That's all we do, 100% social media marketing. We were voted one of the top 10 social media agencies in the world by Clutch. Firebelly has helped clients like Netflix, Qdoba, Fiji Water, and many others transform their social media marketing strategies. If you want to make your brand more likable and profitable, let's talk. Go to firebellymarketing.com and let's get that process started. Today, I'm super excited for many reasons. We have Rachel Klein, who is a entrepreneur, mom, dancer, massage therapist, and God knows what other talents she's hiding, including feeding people all the time, who is the founder of Revival Brands. Is it Revival Foods or Revival Brands?
Right now, it's actually Revival Food Co.
Revival Food Co. All right. Here we go. Rachel, welcome to the show. So excited to have you.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
Now, did I do a good job of the multi roles that you play? Wife, daughter, mom of three, entrepreneur, former dancer, massage therapist?
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm all the things. I'm anything and everything.
So, Rachel, how did this all start?
Yeah. So, I mean, long story short, I was a contemporary dancer growing up. I had a pretty unhealthy relationship with food and with my health because it was all about just getting fit, being strong, staying skinny, and, performing well. So when I came out of dancing in college, I realized I had to completely start over and, quote unquote, revive my view on my health. And so I start going to making everything from scratch and making bread from scratch and almond milk from scratch and then almond butter because I really love peanut butter, but I've been hearing great things about almond butter and how it's so much better for you than peanut butter. So I'm like, fine, I'll try this thing. And I would buy it from the store and I'm like, man, this just doesn't taste good. Like almond butter is gross. Honestly, I was like, it's bland, it's pasty. It just doesn't have good flavor. And I like almonds, but almond butter doesn't taste good. So I start making my own at home and eventually land on this one recipe that is just like so great. I'm like, wow, why does not every almond butter taste like this? And I start making it all the time and decided to have it as wedding papers at my wedding because I thought that would be cute. And everyone loved it and was like, you should sell it. So of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, right. Like I'm not going to actually sell this. I was planning on opening up a yoga studio, but I put it was actually an aerial yoga studio. So add that to my list of weird things that I could do. So I put that idea on hold because we had moved from Louisville to Indianapolis. And I was like, maybe I will try this almond butter thing. My husband was super encouraging. He was like, yeah, just get a part-time job, see if it works. So I did it for fun, started doing the farmers markets, selling at a bunch of local places here in Indianapolis. And it started growing. People were loving it and kept showing up for it and kept asking for more. And so I would play with it and make new flavors. And I really fell in love with it. I fell in love with the whole process, with entrepreneurship, with creating something that people were enjoying and creating something that was really unique in the sense that it didn't have any sugar, had a lot of fun flavor to it. And, just was really clean, clean, but flavorful. And that's what's missing there on the shelves. And so, people just started loving this and I realized, I think I have something here. And so I kept doing that process of selling it. And in the meantime, had 3 kids. So it's been a very slow growth for Revival. It's been about 7 years since I started and I just let it stay that way. I let it just stay pretty organic, slow, simple. I wasn't trying to shoot for the moon from the very beginning. But then back in 2019, I finally got to this place where I was like, okay, something needs to change. It's got to go big or go home. I'm tired of spinning my wheels here. And I was pregnant with our third. And I'm like, let's do this or let's not do this. And so I went to a big trade show and there I met the Walmart buyer and she ended up bringing in my product to 1,000 stores. So that was last year. Yeah, we launched into 1,000 stores with Walmart, which opened up so many doors for us. Now we have a co-manufacturer out in California that we've partnered with. We're able to distribute nationally to all of these retailers plus more. So of course, we're working on increasing our footprint to more retailers. We're doing more with our e-commerce, Amazon. About to add on some other fun e-com distributors too. And yeah, so now it feels like sky's the limit. And I absolutely love what I do. And it's so fun that now this is my job, is almond butter. I get to like sell something that's incredible to people all over the nation. So I love it.
Rachel A.B. Klein, almond butter.
That's right. That's right.
And I think what's phenomenal is that it's like something you truly believe in, and it isn't marketing almond butter. It's like authentic, sincere almond butter that really doesn't have any sugar in it. God, there's so many people that say there's no sugar in my product, like we were just talking about earlier. No naming names, and there is sugar in it, right? And it's disguised,
right,
or whatever. And I was talking to Rusty Jones, who's one of the founders of Hello Water, and what struck me about that interview and what you just said is that you're cleaning up the butter aisle, right?
Yeah,
there's hundreds of thousands and maybe even millions of sugar grams or sugar calories that have been eliminated, like they're out, right? People are eating healthy almond butter,
right. Yeah. And, and almond butter and nut butters in general is a category that most retailers, most buyers, and most consumers will say is like a super crowded category. Like you go down the almond butter aisle or butter aisle in any store, and you just like, if anyone's like me, you just stand there and you stare at this whole like wall of nut butters. And it's just like, what's the difference? These all look exactly the same. They're all saying that they're clean, healthy, good for me. How do I even know what to buy anymore? And that's what frustrated me with the industry too, is that they're all just trying to be another version of each other. They're all trying to be the better version of peanut butter. And then they're all trying to say like, we're really clean. And it's confusing because like you said, some of them, they'll say that they're clean, that they like don't have sugar or that they don't have carbs or that they, whatever, they're going to make all of these claims. But a lot of times then they still have these hidden ingredients like coconut sugar. Well, it sounds healthy, but hey, listen, it's still sugar, and just like the way that it's processed. I've learned so much about that since I started this business that like, man, not all nut butters are made the same. Like it is super sketchy the way some of them are made, and it's disgusting. And if you knew how they were made, you wouldn't want to buy it. And yet it's being put out there on the shelves as this super clean alternative.
I mean, I love what you said earlier about you love almonds. I mean, what's not to love about an almond, right? I mean, you can eat a peanut,
right.
You can eat a cashew, you can eat a pistachio, you can eat an almond. I personally love eating almonds in all forms. So raw almonds, salted almonds, coconut almonds, and almond butter, and especially yours. You have it isn't just like lip service. You have a big belief and an emphasis in your business on the almond and even the sourcing of the almond, right? Tell us about the sourcing, because I think there's a great story there. Tell us about the sourcing of the almonds and what makes these almonds special.
Yeah. So it's funny. I've actually been sourcing from the same exact farmer for the last 7 years. When I first started the business, I realized I needed to start buying almonds from somebody other than Trader Joe's to make this sustainable. And so, so I start like going through this list of almond farmers in California, because I'm thinking that's where I'm going to find them. And I happened to call the number for this farm called Aldrin Almonds, or Aldrin Brothers Almonds. And I call, and the guy that answers is like, his name is Grant. He's incredible. He's like out on the farm actually with the almonds at the time that I'm calling him. He's like, yeah, we sell dry roasted almonds. I'd love to give you some. We can send you some your way. And I remember getting this 25-pound box and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so many almonds. And now I'll buy like 50,000 to 100,000 times. But what's really incredible about this farm is that they also really love their almonds. And we don't source organic almonds, and that's actually on purpose because the organic farm industry is pretty corrupt in the sense that a lot of, big industries are, that it's very money driven. And so it's not to say that there aren't some really wonderful organic farms, but it's definitely to say that a lot of organic farms are just able to charge a lot more for what they're doing because they're calling it organic. And so what our farm does so well is that they still source really clean pesticides. They have this amazing like dual drip system where they water the trees one tree at a time, versus a lot of other farms in the area that do this flood system where they completely flood the whole farm with water. And that's where you see so much water waste happening. And almonds get a bad rap. They do use a lot of water, but there's ways you can minimize the amount of water that almonds are taking in. And that's what this farm is doing. So it's a really incredible process. And I learned too that the organic industry, when you're using an organic pesticide, it actually just doesn't work that well. Like you're still there are bugs that are on trees. There just are. And so when you're using organic pesticide, it's not as effective. So they actually have to spray like multiple times with the organic pesticide versus the non-organic. They only have to do it once because it works. And so, it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, it's organic, but you're actually spraying it more often. That's not good. So it's been cool to learn. I actually went out and visited the farm last year and walked it with Grant, who I've known for so many years, but never actually met in person. And just neat to connect to the farm where I'm like, these are our trees. This is where our almond butter comes from here and ends up in our jar for everybody else. So I really love our farmers. I love the almonds that we source from, and I believe in them wholeheartedly. And I know that the quality is there in a way that some organic just isn't.
I mean, I like the way you all say it on your website. I'm to my dramatization of it. We want our almonds to be hydrated, plump, and happy. And
yes.
what role? I mean, I love that. But what role does potassium play in all of this?
Yeah, it's cool because almonds need a lot of potassium to thrive, and so organic potassium actually just doesn't penetrate all the way through to the almond like the non-organic potassium does. So there's a reason that they've been using non-organic potassium for so many years, because it actually allows potassium to hydrate, it allows it to get all the way through to the almond and allows the almond to actually absorb the water in a way that it can't when you're using the organic. And so, Grant actually, when I was out there, showed me an example of, you can tell an organic almond, and you can see it if you're looking at organic almonds now, they kind of have this shriveled effect to it where they're a little bit shriveled down. They're usually a little bit smaller, and the lines in the actual almond just aren't as smooth. And so you can see that it just didn't get enough water. And there's a taste difference there too. So when the almond isn't getting enough water, it doesn't plump up as much, and it just doesn't taste as sweet. It doesn't have that natural sweetness to it. So reason number 50,062 to go for the non-organic potassium. I'm somebody who buys organic pretty much everything. But when you start understanding the back of house, and you understand why or why not, some vegetables, some fruits are fine non-organic versus organic. And so it's just good to know and to educate yourself on why would I choose organic versus non-organic? And this is something you can't put on a jar, how do you explain that? I don't even know, but this is my explanation.
I mean, I'm going to say PC almonds just aren't as good because potassium challenged almonds, right?
Yes.
So,
that's true.
So, Rachel, what is the role that social media plays? And let's give a shout out to the work that you and Ariana Glickman have done together. Built an amazing brand on social together. What role does social play in your overall marketing?
Yeah, social has been huge for us. We're obviously a very small company. We started off very small. Didn't have a marketing budget pretty much at all. And so social media is this incredible resource that you can basically use to your advantage. You don't have to pay. I mean, I paid, to have someone manage it for me because hashtag mom of three. I don't have time for that. But it's been incredible to see the growth that we've seen just, yes, the follower count. So like we went from 3,000 followers to like 8,000 followers in a little over a year, which is really cool to see. And that was all because Ariana, who was managing our social at the time, just was really pushing for like giveaways and really genuinely connecting with our followers and, sending them DMs, staying up to date on what they're up to and sending free products. So for me, I'm more than willing to send free product to somebody who's going to, talk about us and post beautiful photos for us. So it's been cool that through that, it's really grown the legitimacy of our brand too, that it started showing up on all these foodie accounts, all these girls that are, it's mostly millennial girls that love posting about like toast and, their almond butter bowls. And, we live in a day and age where it's like this whole like food porn, movement where everyone's just like, OMG, like I can't like, I need it. I love it. I want that. And, it creates this groundswell effect. And that's kind of what like has been my mantra when it comes to social media and how we're using it, is kind of just creating this groundswell with our product. And I'm totally for, I'm not against paying for influencers and, for people that have a lot of influence and effect. But at the same time, there's something really amazing about getting genuine, organic, posts about our product. Like I will send it to someone and I'm like, hey, if you don't like it, don't post about it. Like, or post about it if you don't like it. That's fine. That's your, your choice. But I love seeing a brand who, we've had a few brands that are massive, they'll have like a couple 100,000 followers and we'll still just send them product because like, hey, you might like this. I know you love posting about food. And they normally charge like $5,000 for a post and they're still posting about it because they just actually love it. And that's where I'm like, man, it is so cool that social media, especially with the last year with the pandemic, has created such a connection point for our society. It's not just fake. It's not just like, people posting pretty pictures. It's genuine connection with other people. And for a brand, for a CPG brand, I think that traditionally social media almost felt to, some brands do it very markety, like it looks really perfect. Every post looks really perfect. And that's something with our social media that I've tried to stay away from, is to make it really, professional looking. But at the same time, like you also see just me with my kids in the middle of a Walmart aisle, just like, hey, here's me looking like a total mess. And here's my jar of almond butter. And I think that that's part of what's important to see too, is that you can, take the veil off and just be really genuine yourself and show that to potential customers and current customers and, just to our whole community. And it really just builds this, community essentially.
Yeah, I think that's very well put. I think that perfection is not as in as it used to be. In fact, it may even be out depending on the demo. I mean, I think that Gen Z is definitely not as into perfection. In fact, I think that they're they're social natives, right? They've been growing up on social their whole lives, and they want, the fact that Will Smith, can post a picture of himself, with his big belly and say I'm in the worst shape of his life and gets 4 million likes or more, I think tells us that people they find honesty and reality refreshing, right? So I think that you guys are doing a fantastic job with that. I know that Lauren Johnson on our team, shout out to Lauren and her client Karma Nuts. They've been following you for years. I don't know how you all got on Lauren's radar, but the founder there, Ganesh Nair, and you are like lost cousins or soulmates, because that's one of the things he says all the time. He says, Duncan, I want to do good and I want people to feel good. That was my So I think that, with you, like not chasing being skinny, like eat good food, like be who you are. That's amazing. Rachel, I really wanted to ask you, what is it really like? Because we hear all this sort of like hype, and we sometimes hear like very negative, like counter hype. But what's it really like being, the founder and CEO of an amazing food brand as a woman, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're a CEO, you're doing an amazing job, but you're a woman, and what's that like? Like, what? I mean, I know that there have to be challenges with that. My significant other is, a founder for a brand. She's a woman, and she's always running into things that we don't often talk about. Like, what are those things?
Yeah. I mean, we live in a day and age where obviously there's more opportunity for women than ever right now. So I am so grateful to be doing business now, and that I have the opportunity to do business now. But there's the problem with even that statement that I have the opportunity to do business now as a woman. My husband and I talk about this all the time because he also owns his own business. He owns an Airbnb based, short-term rentals business called Casual Nomad. And, for him, business has always been easy. Doors just open. He can make a deal over a quick phone call, and it is different for men versus women. For women, like I feel that I have to try so much harder to prove myself up, and women do it to each other too. We have high expectations for each other as women too, that we're like, you better come presented, like have everything buttoned up and perfect, because that's like a woman's nature. A lot of times we're very like, it needs to be perfect. It needs to like present itself really well. Just like we do often going out the house. Like most women don't leave the house without putting on a full face of makeup and their hair looks good. A
Yeah.
guy can wake up and 3 seconds later go out the door for a meeting with investors.
Yeah.
And so there's just this overall, and that's not bad. I mean, I enjoy being feminine. Like I love being a woman. But I think that there's definitely some normalizing that needs to come from what it looks like to be a woman in the workplace, that, we don't have to act like a man to be able to get business done that men do. And I look at somebody like Sarah Blakely, who is an incredible visionary and just like an incredible businesswoman, because she has built something, Spanx, from scratch by herself and has built it up to this $1 billion company. And one of the things that I've heard her say before that I just love is the fact that she would say I don't have to do business like a man to be able to do business well. And so she's always embraced like being feminine and like owning that, and not having to come into, a conference room with like a lot of the masculine energy to get things done. And I often see, I mean, I have been, I guess I'll say a quote unquote victim to just like these minor sexual harassments that happen on a daily basis, where I'll be in conversations with somebody who I respect in business, and they start out the conversation saying something like, wow, you look so good. Like, look at you. You've really done well. And it's this really like flirty, sexist remarks that are trying to be flattering, but they're also trying to play into this, like this whole sexual vibe that, they're getting from women. And it's so uncomfortable. And as a, person in business, I'm coming into this meeting ready to get some things done. Like, let's talk numbers, let's get to work. And then when it starts off like that, it makes me feel so uncomfortable, and just plays into that whole dogma that we've, been told our whole lives. And so, I mean, I was really raised, I love my parents. They, raised me to believe I could technically be anything, but at the same time, it was a very, old school way of looking at just like the women and men's roles in society. And my mom was an incredible stay-at-home mom, and the expectation was really that I would do contemporary dance or whatever I kind of wanted for a while, and that eventually I would just get married and become a stay-at-home mom too. And I guess I was surprised when I married David, my husband, and he's like, no, but really, you actually should do this business. This is really cool. And I'm like, okay, I actually really want to do this business, and I guess I will. And, like he's been helping me break this mold and even the expectations that I have for myself as a woman. And so that's become something that am just like fired up, passionate about now, is helping other women see and other moms see that like your potential is truly endless. And it is harder. It just is harder for a woman because we do end up carrying more of the load at home. We do end up carrying a lot of the load with kids and whatnot. And it doesn't have to look like that. It's slowly shifting, to being more of a partnership, but still, kids love their mamas and that happens, it's a beautiful thing. But, I just feel really passionate now about starting to change the conversation around what it looks like to be a woman in business, what it looks like to be a mom in business, and just like starting to shut off those expectations that we have for ourselves and for our future, generations. For my daughter, I look at her and I'm like, girl, like literally you can do anything and I will empower you to do those things too. I'm not going to make it difficult. I'm not going to make you have to go through these hurdles that I've gone through where it's like you have to prove yourself up so much to get into the same, room as all of these investors and businessmen. I'm going to like build you up so that you feel prepared, so that you feel like you are just right in line with them and you can actually go above and beyond them if you want to,
That's amazing. You're a courageous, fearless woman. And I thank you for setting that standard for both your own children and for the world at large. I mean, I think that it's amazing that you're doing this, but also that is part of your narrative about, listen, I'm a badass woman and there's no reason why I can't do everything I want to do. So before we get to the last couple of questions, I'm just going to do a wrap up here. First of all, thank you for being here. This has been amazing and I'm so happy. Just to close out before the last question, at Firebelly, we make brands more likable and profitable through social media. If you want to establish your brand, expand your reach, and get ROI, let's talk. Go to firebellymarketing.com or email us at hello@firebellymarketing.com. So, first question before the last amazing question: where can people find Revival Food products?
Yeah, very important. So we're on Instagram, so you can find us at Revival Food Co. It's our handle. And we're on our website, revivalfoodco.com. We're also on Amazon, Walmart.com, and a lot of local retailers. So if you look on our website, there's a little Find Us tab, and you can find which retailers we're at that are closest to you.
Awesome. Now, tell us, what is your favorite flavor today?
Ooh, okay. Every day it changes. Today, I would say my favorite flavor is actually our Balance Blend, which is this rosemary maca lucuma powder blend. So it is so delicious. It's the one that kind of comes out under the radar where you're like, hey, why is there rosemary in an almond butter? And then you try it and your mind is just blown. So that's my favorite today.
Listen, I'm a guy that likes to put pepper on almost everything.
Ooh.
And so I'm excited about getting some and putting it on, putting pepper on it. But
yeah, that sounds good.
I'm telling you. So that's where now, before we end, there are people that love almond butter in regular size containers, and you've got those. But for those of you that are listening that want it literally by the bucket, have it by the Rachel knows about you. And Rachel, what are you doing for people that want it by the bucket?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. Yeah, so we started making these 8-pound buckets of almond butter in any of the flavors. So you can actually order those buckets on our website. And I always recommend maybe you get that and then also get one of the regular size jars. So then you can just refill that jar with your favorite flavor, or you can put it in any jar that you have at home. But it's a great way to be sustainable. We're not wasting a lot of these jars. And two, you just have this endless supply at your disposal anytime you want.
Endless supply. And I'm that advocate person. So when people come to my house, from my little pod that come over, I felt like I had to say that, Rachel. So, but I'm positioning myself accurately. But when they come over, I always wanted to try all the things. And then you got the bucket. And not only is it sustainable and filled with amazing almond butter, but it will also maybe last you for more than a month if you're eating a lot.
Right. Or a week, depending on how fast you eat it.
Rachel, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you all for listening. And Rachel, one last time, revivalfoodco.com and Revival Food Co. on Instagram. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.